Yeah, so this example of ThingWorks Analytics, what we will be doing right now is give you a sense from a device from where the data will be coming in. So for this example, we will be using the Edge micro server, which is another option to push the data into the ThingWorks platform. So instead of Edge micro server, you also have an option to push the data from any of the PLCs or through Capware into the ThingWorks, because that is the part that you have already learned in your IoT course. So, but I will explain you how to get the data into the ThingWorks through Edge micro server, because that's another interesting way to push the data into the ThingWorks platform, and you can configure any of your small hardware unit to push that data. Even if you don't have a PLC, you can use any of your Raspberry Pi hardware to make it happen. Also, you have an option to use your Windows machine to run the EMS server. The code is also available to make it happen through the Windows machine. At the same time, you can also use any of the Linux machine to do that. So you have a flexibility now to generate the data and push that data to the ThingWorks as a platform. So that is the first step. So let me just explain you by sharing my Raspberry Pi. So I will be explaining you with the example of Raspberry Pi, but the same is also available through the link that is available on ThingWorks to the Windows machine. Right. So I think let me just share that. So I will be using again a hosted trial also for this ThingWorks, because our ThingWorks server is, we are trying to upgrade from a previous version. So whatever demo I will be giving you is on the hosted trial also, which you already have an access to. So I will be connecting to my remote device through VNC. So I have a Raspberry Pi hardware with me, which I have installed with the latest Raspberry Pi OS. And then there's a file which you can download from the ThingWorks to convert it in a micro edge server. And so just I'm sure you are able to see a remote desktop screen of RPi device. Is that visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, good. So what I will show you here, I just go back to the download folder. So this is the download folder where I have kept this file. This is available from ThingWorks, this MED 61060 micro server Linux ARM. So this is for the RPi, but similar file is also available for the Windows. So in fact, there is an example here. So let me just show you. All of you might be having your developer account on ThingWorks, na? Those who have,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So what you can do, you can just go to the platform and connect. So on the platform and connect, you will have options here how you can connect the devices to your ThingWorks, and there you will have example of the Windows Edge micro server. So let me just see if it is there.
So inside the Raspberry Pi, which operating system we used?
Pardon?
Inside the Raspberry Pi, which operating system you have used?
It's their own Raspbian. I think that's the same OS which comes bundled. So Raspbian Stretch is the one that I have installed right now. So Raspberry Pi has its own OS, which is similar to the Linux only. So you can just download it from RPi website Raspberry Pi website, and the current version that we are using is Stretch. So this one is the link you can use the Edge micro server to connect ThinkWorks, and this is for Windows Edge IoT devices. You can see here. So as you go along, you have an option to download this. So just a minute. Once you continue to the guide, install EMS. So once you have this option of install EMS, this is the file Windows EMS download link. So once you download, then you will get the similar file for your Windows machine, right? And what I will be using is the Raspberry Pi. So I will just show you that. So once you have this file, you can extract this file, and that file is being extracted into a folder which is known as micro server right now. Please follow the steps. You let me know wherever you find difficulty, but I think these steps are very clear, so I will be explaining you then. So once you go to the folder micro server, it will have all the files to make any of the hardware connect to the ThinkWorks. So this is an Edge micro server. That is what the additional functionality here. So if I can list out the files inside the micro Edge server, you will have two executable. One is the WSEMS. There's a Windows socket Edge micro server. And the another is the Lua script resource. So this is another programming language that, or this is a scripting language that is being used in this case. It's a Lua similar to Python. So, but this is a scripting language. So there are two things. One is the Edge micro server that is being supposed to run, and second is the Lua script resource. Just a minute. Okay. So in this case, once you go to this folder, I will explain you how to. So these two are the executable files. The rest are the files that we are supposed to configure. Right. So once you go to this, then I will be just showing you the folder. There are two configuration files that are being used here. So one is, if I go to the Edge micro server. So inside the etc folder, you have to go to the etc folder, and there you will be having two configuration file. One is the config.json and another is the config.lua. So Lua is basically for the Lua script resource executable file over here. And then config.json is the configuration of this Edge micro server. So let me just open this file. Yes. So once you open this config.json file, which is the configuration of your Edge micro server, you have to specify the ThinkWorks instance host ID here. So if you can see here, this is the host details that you will be getting from the page from where you are hosting this ThinkWorks Analytics or ThinkWorks Foundation. So it's a hosted trial. So you have to bring out that host ID over here. The port will remain 443. Now, before we connect any of this Edge micro server, you need to create an access through the app key. So application key need to be generated. So in that case, what you are supposed to do, you need to generate the application key. I'm sure that you are familiar with how to generate the application key.
Sir.
Yeah. So please keep responding, because otherwise I will not be familiar with, but others, let me just show you that also. So what we can do, we can go to the hosted trial that I am using right now. So once we go to this page, you will find this host name here. This is what is required, but please take care that everything should be in a small case. And you need not to add this HTTPS // This is not required. Only
This is the same we have done in the last course.
correct. So
So
yeah,
that's
true.
that's we know, sir.
Yeah, so you are familiar with how to use the host name here.
Yeah.
Now you will be creating an application key here so that you can have an access to. So through application key only your this Edge micro server will be able to connect with your ThingWorks platform. So this is an additional security feature so that any unknown device should not be sending the data. So this is the my app key that I have created over here, and then you have to copy this key. So if you can see here, there's a key ID which you are supposed to copy from here, and you have to paste this key ID into that config.json file. Right? That is the thing that you will be attempting in your ThingWorks platform. Now let's go back to the configuration. So this app key, this is the random key that will be generated once you execute it. But instead of that, what you will be doing, you will be pasting your app key over here. Rest of the things you are not supposed to do anything, because this device will be running two things. One is the HTTP server through which the Lua script will be communicating to this device. And second is it is establishing a connectivity with the ThingWorks platform. Fine. Only thing you have to just take care, this line may not be required in this case. This is not required. This all will be generated because there is a key hash that is being used to encrypt the application key so that anybody cannot have an access by looking at the config.json file. So in fact, if I remove this, let me just show you that. So I will be removing this part that is not required here. And at the same time, I will also be replacing my app key here. So instead of this, what I will do, so I'm just copying the key from here, and I will be pasting. Yeah. So if you can see here, this is the way I have pasted the key from the ThingWorks. And this is the host name, port 443, and I have removed the last lines from here actually. That is here, because that all will be generated once it encrypt this. So I will be just saving this file. So this was your configuration.json file, which will be required to run this WSEMS, that is the Windows Socket Edge microserver. Right? The second is the Lua script resource. Again, we are not supposed to learn this language too much. We are just learning the basic steps so that I can make this Edge microserver working and also be able to understand how to read the parameters and how to configure that. Yeah, Vishnu.
Sir, this configuration we have to do it before running it.
Yeah, you have to do before running this. So still now I have not run the executable file. So I'm just preparing it for the same. So before running, you have to change this configuration. Otherwise, this will give the error.
Okay.
Unless you give an access to this Edge microserver to connect with the ThingWorks, it will give error. Or if you found anywhere there's an variation in communicating the address or something is not properly communicated, then it will give you error of connectivity. So if you can see here, so because this is in Raspberry Pi, so I will be running this through this command. In Windows, you can directly run this. So once I run this, if you can see here, you will get to know. So this is the whilst it is running. Just a minute. It should show the connected actually. It should be able to access your ThingWorks server. So if you see here, after processing, it should show the connected part. Yes, Vishnu.
Yes, sir. So first we have to download that MES file and
Correct.
then unzip it and then configure these files, and then we have to install these files, like configure it.
Correct. So if you can see right now, there are errors coming in actually like this. So it is not connected. So see, sometimes this ThingWorks hosted platform is creating issues. So you may need to restart it again. But once this will be able to successfully connect, then you will find this. Let me just restart this. So you can stop your server and then again restart it. Sometimes that will resolve. So I'm restarting the server. Yeah, Mukhtar.
Sir, can we install Windows in the Raspberry Pi?
No, no, no. Only options are coming for some of the Linux platform you can install, but I don't see any Windows option available there. All the supported OS are listed on the Raspberry Pi website, so you can get to know from there also. But Ubuntu can be installed. A smaller version of the Ubuntu can be installed. It is possible.
But in YouTube, we could able to see some of the cracked version, or I'm not sure whether it is adjustable one. They are trying to just install Windows 10 OS into Raspberry Pi. I'm not sure how they are proceeding. Maybe it is legal or something. They are trying to do that, sir.
So maybe the other routes, because there are a lot of community keep on experimenting with RPi hardware. So
Exactly.
maybe someone has experimented, but that's not an officially supported release actually.
Yes, sir. Exactly. That is not official, but they are trying some other way.
Yeah, yeah. So we will be following most of the official released OS that are available. That will be helpful in this case. This ThingWorks is taking some time. That is only the issue. But let me explain that. So once you have this, I think that is being created. Then second file that you are supposed to configure is the config.lua. So if I can open this file also in a text editor, it's a very simple file in this case. If you can see here, it's a kind of a scripting. So first thing is that you whatever the thing name that you will be creating. So PyThing is something that you are creating on your ThingWorks platform. So this device will be now communicating to PyThing onto the ThingWorks. So you have to write the name of that thing here. So if I'm using a PyThing, let me just change it to RPything, for example. So RPything should exist into the ThingWorks, and then on this RPything there are certain templates that are being used. So thing.lua is the file. I will show you this file also. This is the template that is being used, and how frequently it will scan and connect and push the data to the ThingWorks that are being defined here. That is how the scan rate and the task rates are there. Task rates are basically for services, and scan rate is to push the data to the ThingWorks platform. So that's all. I think that is what is the minimal requirement in the Lua file right now. will add details. Yeah, this is, sorry, because I'm just running this from the, but this may be having an admin access require, root access actually. That is how it is giving error. And the template part you have to see. So if I just go there, now you can see here why it was not saving, because config.lua is having a root access. So I have to just do the sudo and yeah, I can make changes now here. So I will just make change here to rpy and then control X. I can save this. Fine. So this is being done. Let me see if my server is there. Yeah, it is working now. So what I will do now, I have to create a new thing into the ThingWorks, where this Edge micro server will be able to communicate. Fine. So first of all, let's see that the server should be running. Then only we will be able to do that. Yeah, so micro edge servers, if I just give a command again. Yeah, now if you can see here, now it is showing this WebSocket connected actually. It means that now this is being connected. Directory copy file something is, but it is connected actually. That is what I can see here. And the error might be coming because there so I need to create a thing there to get this Edge micro server connected to the thing that I have on the ThingWorks. So let me just show you that step also. So these are some of the things that you are familiar with also, but I'm just giving a quite quick idea. So what you can do, you can go to the things over here, and for example, so PyThing is already existing over here, if you can see here. So same way, what I can do, I will be creating another thing. So you can see it is not connected. So I will just create a new thing, rpy-thing. So I will use the name, same name, connecting rpy edge micro server. You just choose the PTC default project, and template you can use the remote thing actually. It is what I want. And you can save this. So once you have saved this, I think rpy thing is visible, but still not connected. Let me just do that. So I've created a thing now. We need to bring out the properties to this also. Yeah, so what I was explaining that through the Lua script, I have created that. Now I need to make it run also. So in that case, again, just run this Lua script, sorry, script resource. Something is not working. Okay, maybe some mismatch of that RPi thing is happening. Correct. I need to make some changes into the script also. So just go back. So customs, then there is templates over here, and I'm using this pytemplate.lua. So I have to just open this. Yeah, I think name should be mismatching somewhere. So this is the template which is being used to push the data, and what data you want to push actually. That is what it is important over here. So in fact, this example is just showing you how to push the basic default data. So we are creating a properties over here. So these are the ThingWorks properties, if you can see here. So we are creating properties: CPU temperature, CPU frequency, CPU voltage actually. And then we are running this service to push this data. At the same time, how you will be getting this data. So these are all Lua script actually. That is what I'm just saying. So there's a command you can run onto the RPi. So this is a command VC gen CMD, measure temperature, measure clock, and measure volts. So if you run this command, you will be getting an output, and this is the output which we want to push into these properties so that the device will get the ThingWorks will get the same data from this device. Fine. So I think without doing much changes, what I will try to run this, I will try to run this as it is. So this is the so okay. So let it be Control X. Yeah, so this is running. Now I will just run this Lua script also. Yes. So now let's see that if it is get connected onto the ThingWorks. So instead of this, we'll just, so if you see here, the Pi thing is now connected. So instead of RP thing, we just see that this Pi thing is connected. And these are the three properties that you can see here. So CPU frequency, CPU temperature, CPU volt. This data is now coming from the device itself. And you can see some of the values that are appearing over here. So right now the 48 degrees centigrade is the temperature. If I refresh it, you will see the change happening in there. So this is a real-time data now I'm getting from a edge micro server that is being created on an RPi hardware by using this. So there's a complete tutorial on this. You can just follow those steps and you will be able to successfully create this EMS and will be able to communicate to the device that you have created as a thing into the ThingWorks. So this is the first step that you have to accomplish. If you have any doubt till here, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm sure that you will follow these steps and you can make it happen.
Can you show me that link or something that where we will be finding this vehicle
Okay,
implementing.
so I think I have already added that into the course page. So otherwise also I will show you that. So if you can see here, this is the complete learning path that I will be following, and you can also attempt this once you log in into your developer account. There's a learning path vehicle predictive pre-failure detection with ThingWorks platform. Fine. So once
Yes,
you
sir.
go to this, this is the first step that we are trying to do right now. It's a connect. So you are trying to connect the Edge microserver to the ThingWorks. So this is the first step that I will be doing. So in fact, if you see here, this example will be showing the Windows Edge IoT, but what I was trying to do, I will be following how an ARPI device can be connected, right? So instead of using a Windows Edge IoT device, I am using an ARPI. That is the only change. Otherwise, this will have all the steps required to do that. And for ARPI also, if you want to find it out, we'll just go to the home over here, and you can go to the platform and connect. And there you will get all the steps to connect an ARPI. So what you can do, you can just scroll it down, and you will be having this connect Raspberry Pi thing to the ThingWorks. So this is the tutorial that you will be following, connect an ARPI to ThingWorks using the Edge microserver. So what I was just explaining you can see all the steps being mentioned over here. So you set up a ARPI, install the EMS, create the application key, configure the EMS, launch the EMS, configure the Lua script resource, configure the template file, and then run the LSR. And finally, you bind the remote thing properties onto the ThingWorks, and you will be able to see the data over there. And it also defines if you want to connect any additional external hardware or sensor, that is also possible. So once you are able to see the data, in fact, it also gives you a demo sample mashup that you can use to visualize this data. So that is the way, it's in a complete example on ARPI, how you can, so this is the mashup that you will see, and the data that is coming from your ARPI device can now be seen into the ThingWorks. Apart from that, you can interface any of the hardware like this. This is an example of an humidity temperature sensor from Adafruit. You can use any of the program on your ARPI and push the data into the ThingWorks platform. So that is how it shows all the steps required over here to physically connect the sensor. And then accordingly, you have to modify the Lua template file. That is the only thing you are supposed to do, because once you get the data through a Python file into your Raspberry Pi, how you will communicate that to the ThingWorks platform, that is something is being explained over here. And this way you can attempt to connect any of the external device to ARPI, and you can push the data to the ThingWorks platform. So that's a good example, using any of the embedded hardware as an Edge microserver and pushing the data. And for experimental, this is a real good example where you have a live data coming from the hardware. Is that
Does it
clear?
support Pi 3?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this supports Pi 3. Yeah. I hope this is clear.
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Fine. So once you finish this example, then comes the same Edge microserver that you have configured. Now we will be configuring the same hardware for working as an engine simulator, because this is what the problem we are trying to do right now. We are trying to detect the failure of the engine because of the low grease level inside the engine. So what has been done, there are two sensors that are being deployed onto this engine, and we will be trying to monitor the frequency bands of these sensors. So these are the vibration sensors. So each vibration sensor will be producing the data, and we are classifying, we are just putting that data into the 5 different frequency bands that is being understood in this case. So in fact, in the normal the vibration sensor, what you can do, you can just apply the Fourier transform, and you will able to know which are the frequency band the data will be coming into. So this is just an example that we are discussing right now, where we will be integrating 2 sensors. So we are supposed to create the 5 different frequency band for each sensor. And for that, what you will be doing, you will be again changing the Lua script into the RPi device, wherever you have this edge microserver. So we will create an edge thing for this. So there's a different thing. Earlier you have created a Pi thing, but this time I have created an edge thing, and which will be now acting as an engine simulator. So this part you have already done. So what you are supposed to do now, you have to modify the Lua script over here to communicate the sensor data now. So if you see here, this is the edge thing that has been created in this case. And once you go to the template file over here, now here we will be adding all the script where you are getting the data. So if you can see here, these are the properties that are being added into the Lua script, because these are the same properties that your thing that you have created in ThingWorks will be using. So these are the sensor 1, frequency band 1, sensor 1, frequency band 2. So there are 5 properties which are sensor 1, frequency band 1 to 5. There are 5 properties which are on the sensor 2, frequency band 1 to frequency band 5. So once you have created these properties, now you will be modifying the template file further to generate this data. That is what I think Mukhtar was asking, how to get the sample data to work upon. So in this case, what they have done, they have just used some of the Lua code itself, which is equivalent to a data that you can get from the hardware. So they have generated that using some random numbers around. So it's just a noise being added to certain reference values. So that may reflect that how this sensor data will be coming in. So what they have done, so they have used a random number. And interestingly, they have classified this data into 2 categories. So this is all simulated. So they have intentionally created data in such a way, some of the random data will be coming from a low grease level indication, and some of the data will be representing a good grease level. So if you can see here, they have just generated number 1 out of 10. And then the number is less than 6 that they have done. This is a low grease level is 0. And what are the representation of those sensor data that is being used over here? So some understanding is being used. They have used some reference base frequency, that is 161 in this case for the sensor 1. Sensor 2, it is 180. Sensor 3, it is 190, and so on. So you have frequency band data with a randomness. So you are using math.random to create a noise around this reference frequency. So every time it is not 161 that is being communicated, so representing some real scenario. So it will just create 161 plus some random number. Fine. So that is the way these are the sensor data representation for the low grease level. And there is a different frequency over here, if you can see here. So around 161 is for the good, there is no problem of the grease. And wherever there is a low grease level, this frequency will be different. It's a 90 actually. So that way, this all data is being now created to represent a real sensor, which is mounted on the engine. In this case, we are using an edge microserver to push this data to the ThingWorks. So ThingWorks will be interpreting this is the data coming from your real engine. Fine. So that is how this script will give you a complete idea. So once you put this script into the this config.lua file or the template file, you will be able to create an edge microserver representing the engine. Fine. So let me just show you this also on the device, how this is being done. So if I'll go over here, I will just stop the current running thing. In this case, on the same RPi, you can have both the devices. So what I will do, there's a different edge microserver. So what I have done, so one microserver I have created for the simple testing, as I have done for the Pi thing. There's another one, EMS demo, that has been done here. So I will be using this EMS demo to work as an engine simulator. So in this case, again, I will go to the etc folder. And you have then config.json. You can look at this file. So again, same thing. So config.json is more about the connectivity, how you will be connecting to the main server. And this particular thing that is being created so that you can access some of the files onto your Edge Micro device in the ThingWorks also. So there's an additional services that is being used over here. That is also interesting. So some of the log files that are being generated onto this Edge device are now accessible onto your ThingWorks platform. So that's an interesting part that is being added over here. Rest is the same host ID and app key that you have created over here. And that's all. So some of the folders that are being created and that are being made accessible to the ThingWorks that are also being created. So this example is also being explained. Now we have gone to the config.lua file into this. So we'll have same thing being done, but this time the thing that is being defined is edge thing. So we will be creating an edge thing into the ThingWorks platform. So then this script will connect to that. Now, after you did this, now you have to go to the custom folder here where the templates resides. Template is deciding which properties, which data you are supposed to push. So config.lua is just connecting with the thing, but what actually properties it will be pushing into, that will be defined into this my edge thing template. So this is something which I was just explaining in the text. So these are all properties that are being created. So for 5 sensor 1 frequency band and 5 for the sensor 2 frequency band, and there is a property which is a low grease indication, right? That is what is being coming. And this is how you will be generating using this function query hardware. You will be generating this data, and this has been put into a timer so that every 1 second this will be generating the data which is representing an actual data. So these are the values in which you will be pushing this data. So I think that is what is being configured in this template as well as the Lua file, and then you can make it to run now. So what I will do now, we go to the folder again where you have this EMS demo files like this. So this is your EMS demo, which is different from the micro S server. I will go to the, so micro server, I will go to the EMS demo. So what I will do, I have this now. So I will again on one terminal, I will run the WSEMS. And let's see that it should be able to make connection to the ThingWorks. So you have to wait till the, so it shows the WebSocket connected. So you have to get this message, then only you will understand everything is connected properly. And this will also reflect back that it will be communicating to the ThingWorks. So what I will be doing now, I will be running the Lua script, which is for the sensing. So now if it see here, it should run. Yes. Now we'll go and access our ThingWorks. Now let's see that whether the data is now visible, what we are trying to see here. So I'll just go to the ThingWorks instance, and now I will see the edge thing actually. So edge thing is now connected here. So you can see here properties and alerts that are being defined in the edge thing. You can see there are all sensor properties are being created here. So S1, FB1, S1. So there's a step explained how you can bring out these properties from the remote thing here. I think that way you can follow those steps. But the idea is that now I have an edge thing that is representing the data coming from the edge microserver, which is simulating a sensor mounted on the engine. And I will be getting all this data now. If you can see here, this is the real-time data that you can get here. For example, if I just refresh this, data should change. You can see that data changed over here. And this will also be sending in a grease level in this case. Now, once you get all this data over here, now this will keep on coming. This is also representing a machine actually for you. So you can have Edge micro server on any of the machine or the PLC, which will be sending data onto this. So this is just a preparation actually. We have still not started the analytics part. I think this connectivity part and then creating a simulated engine, I think that is clear till here to
Yes.
everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So this is the preparatory part. Now we'll go to the next level. So if you just go to the same tutorial, I think everything what I was just explaining you are given step by step that you are supposed to do today as an exercise, which I've given you time till tomorrow to finish. So you have to just follow this tutorial to complete the same. So what I will do now, I will go to the same learning path and I will just start the analytics part. After completing these two steps, what you can do, I have not done this, you can use the data storage into the ThingWorks to store this data. Whatever you are getting right now, what you have seen as a vibration data, you can store that data into a file and then you can use that for training the model actually. So that is the one way you can use engine simulator data storage here. But instead of that, what I will be doing, I will be creating an analytics model. Fine. So analytics model in this case, I will be now. So you can, I have shared with you, but you can download that file also. There are two data files that are being shared with you. One is the test engine simulator data. This is what I am talking about. There are around 36,000 such data points, which I am explaining right now. So 5 data points from the sensor 1 and 5 data points from the sensor 2. So this Excel file is having all that data points over here. Then there's a test engine metadata that is required, means what this data file, Excel file that you are using, what is the identification of that columns is being specified in this test engine meta. So these are the two files required over here. So what we will do now, we will go to the analytics. So now after this foundation, you can just go to the analytics. So you'll get to know about this two functionalities. One is the analytics builder. Another is the analytics manager. So now this manager is something is the deployment part. And analytics builder is what we are supposed to get the model trained and that get ready and ready for the, after testing, you will be making it ready for the deployment. So first step that we will be following up over here is the analytics builder. We'll be starting with the first step is the data. So this is the data that you will be using for training now. So you will be training your model with this Excel file that I have given to you. So what you can do, you go to the new, you can go to the new and you can just give the name test engine data. Fine. Now here you will be getting these options, file containing the data set. Fine. So it will ask that you have to choose a CSV data and you have to choose a JSON, that is the metadata here. So that is how these two files are being given to you. So I will choose here, I will just pick up the test file that is being downloaded and share with you, test CSV file.csv here. And I will choose the metadata here, that is the vibration metadata.json. So these are the two files that I have selected over here and I will just submit this. So now it will be showing you some status message that's creating a copy of the data file, copy of the configuration file. So it is just trying to run the job so that it will bring out the Excel data into the ThingWorks platform. Yeah, Mukhtar.
So what is metadata?
Metadata is just a cataloging of the actual data. So metadata is always a catalog that is being prepared to indicate what is there in the actual data. So this is metadata. In fact, when we were discussing in the previous live session also, there's a concept of cataloging the whole data. So once you open this metadata file, it's just indicating what all fields are being captured into the actual data field. So this metadata is just a representation of the information what is there into the actual. It's like an indexing that is being done, right? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the test engine data that you have seen here. I have just brought in that test engine data right now. The first step is done. So test engine data you can view here also. These are the all sample fields that are being captured over here. And I will just go back to the data. So you have brought that Excel data into the ThingWorx server right now. So this is your data that is being created. Now there are two more steps involved over here. One is the signals, another is the profiles. Now these are the steps which are required to just get a quick sense of correlation, how this data is being impacting the output. Actually, that is what the log-rees level. So there's a quick steps over here. So again, you will find the information is not so explicitly known, but this is again a kind of a drag and drop and configure platform through which you can perform those steps much faster. So what I can do, I will create a new signals over here. So go to the signals. I will create a new signal here. So I will just click new. I will just name test signal. Fine. And in this case, you have to select the data set. So I will just select the data set that is the test engine data, because this is the data set I am now trying to analyze. Here, the goal is to find out the log-rees actually. If you can see here, the idea is to find out the log-rees level. And I will not be filtering. I will be using all the 10 sensor data over here. And I will submit this. So it will keep on showing you running. So it will perform certain steps to complete the signal analysis. So it is basically trying to analyze the complete sensor data that is there in the 36,000 observations. And it will bring out which sensor is contributing more towards the prediction of the log-rees level. So in fact, if you see here, it's just a kind of a pre-processing and just doing some exploratory data analysis. So this is still not being used. So it's just giving you an indication that wherever you have this information 1.0, these sensor data is impacting the log-rees level. Because how it will come to know? Because now you have a sensor data for log-rees and you have a sensor data for good grease conditions. So log-rees 0 and log-rees 1. That is how your data is being generated. Fine. Now in that case, the variation of the sensor 1 signal around the log-rees level and the good grease level is being analyzed in this case. And if there is not much variation in the sensor signal representing the good grease and the low grease conditions, then that sensor is confusing actually. That sensor data is not giving a clear indication. So in this case, this sensor 2 FB5, you will see that it is showing 0. And this is because this is a synthetic data. So in this case, it is showing a very good correlation over here that this is impacting, because we have intentionally generated very less noise around the main frequency. So this data is giving a good correlation up to this 5 frequency band of the sensor 1 and 4 frequency band of the sensor 2. And this has been arranged in that order only. Except the sensor 2 frequency band 5, all other are being predicted, making a good correlation in deciding the low grease condition. Right? That is what is being analyzed in the signals. Right? And once you finish this step of signals, then you can go to, so these are the exploratory steps. These are still not being used for the model. so that you can filter it out, which are the sensor data which is meaningful to use in this case for predicting the low grease. Now you can go to the profiles, and which is now finding out the correlation among the multiple sensor data to decide the low grease level. So there are certain profiles being created over here based on the number of records which are contributing toward indication of the low grease level or the good grease level. So there's a combination of this sensor data is being identified in the profiling. So what I will do, I will just create a new profile for you here in this case. So what I can say that test profile. And you will be again selecting the test engine data as a data set over here. Goal is to predict the low grease here. And rest of the conditions I'm not changing as such. So I will be now creating a new profile, which is a test profile. So it is performing those analysis to come out with the profiles, where it will be finding out which all combination of the sensors are being used. So here, if you see that it's just indicating that the sensor 1 frequency band 2 is completely good enough to predict the low grease. So there is only one profile. Now, why this is happening? Because this is a synthetic data around the data point that we have generated. Fine. But if you can create a lot of variation in that sensor data generation, you will get a more realistic data over here. But we are just right now testing the process of analytics, whether it is working or not. So it's clearly indicate that this is 49% of the records. This sensor itself is capable to give me an indication of the low grease. So then this is the profiling part. Now we will try to fit the model. So we'll go to the model in this case, and I will create a new model over here, which is a test model. Again, you will be suggesting the data set that you will be using, test engine data. And you are trying to predict the low grease in this case. You will submit this. Now this will be running. Now test model, it will take some 60 seconds or some little more time depending on the data to be in. Now all that program that you have written to generate the model, I think that is same thing is now happening at the background in this case. So you will be able to see here, this is still running. And once the job is complete, so because now server is processing that data, I'm just again give you a background in understanding the simplicity in which a person from industry can use the platform. That's all. So this is another way you will be providing a way to generate the model configure. So right now we are just following one simple example, but there's a lot of information on the ThingWorx Analytics to configure it also. Right now we are not selecting which model to use. It is doing on its own right now. So, and this is a binary classification problem that it is trying to do. It's a grease or no grease. It's a low grease condition or a good grease condition. We are trying to just classify. So this modeling is being done now. If you can see, it's a completed. And you find a very good correlation over here. That is the model part. So what we can do, we'll view it actually. So all your statistical parameters now will appear over here. So you'll find the precision, recall, everything is above 99% because this is all synthetic data actually. If you can see here, it's 100% predicting correctly. So if you can go and see your confusion matrix, you can see here. So it's hardly a 0.03% is the false positive. There is no false negative. And it predict the true that's for this true positive over here that you can see here is 50.15% and true negative is also predicted correctly, that is 49.82%. That is how you'll get a very nice confusion matrix. This is the ideal case over here. Fine. So I hope, so this is the quick modeling that is being completed here. So now your model is ready because you have already done this. And if you want to see even this is the validation matrix, even the training matrix, you can see over here. So it's almost 100% because it's nicely fit into the scenario. So that's how the two different data sets are being given to you. This is just to understand the process. So test engine simulator data and test engine metadata, this data right now, what we have used is just to understand the process. Then this the actual engine data is also given here. So now what you are supposed to do, you have to run this whole activity for the actual engine data. The way we have done, you have to just perform the same activity with the actual engine data. Now there you will realize these values are not coming so 100%. You will find a good matrix over here. So I will show you that also because I've already done that run myself. So actual engine data will come like this, which I will show you the vibration model here. This is the actual, which I will show you now view. Yeah, so precision is now 0.82, 0.7, and if you can see the confusion matrix, this is the data record that I have analyzed based on this Excel file that is there. So you'll find still there's a 5, 7, 12, around 13% is the false positive and false negative, but rest of the 87% is being covered over here in the true positive and true negative actually. So I think that is what the actual scenario. So this is all about the modeling part. Once this is being done, then we are ready to deploy this model. So any question till here? Or you understand the quick steps? Because it's very simple. You have to bring out the data. You have to just do the exploratory analysis using the signals and the profiling so that you can choose the right sensor inputs over here. In fact, in this example, you will realize that in the exploratory data analysis itself, it has been observed that the sensor 2 data is not making much impact on the low grease level. So I think those steps, what I will suggest, you can follow on your own and you can understand that. So you can just follow these steps to do that. I think you will get to do that, but please perform that because you need to submit the screenshot of this, what you are doing right now. So in that case, there are models being generated. So while creating a model, you can exclude some of the variables. That is the interesting part over here. So model is being generated with the data that is being captured by all the sensors. At the same time, you can create another. So what I can do, I can create a new model now. If you can see here, new model, if I will create here vibration sensor 1 only, like this. So you can, once your data is inside the platform, you can do as many as modeling you want to do over here. So what you can do, I will just pick up the vibration data set now this time, and you will be getting an option over here to exclude fields actually. So what I can do, I will click this, and now these are all the fields that are coming over here. So what I can do, I will be excluding all the sensor 2 data now. So we'll be keeping all sensor 1 data. I will be just excluding here. So I have just field to exclude S2 and save and submit. Now my model will be coming out based on the sensor 1 data only. Earlier, the model, which vibration model I have shown you, that has been analyzed based on both the sensor data. Now let's see that how much is the difference coming in that. And from that, we will be reaching to the conclusion that sensor 2 is not desirable to predict the low grease level. I think that is the quick steps actually. So the beauty of this platform is that with the few clicks, you are able to accomplish the task actually. That is what I am looking forward. In industry, people will be doing all these steps in such a fast way, because now you have experienced the pros and cons of all the platforms. It will not give you flexibility to a greater extent, but it will give you enough understanding to at least quickly analyze the problem. That is the important thing that we will be understanding through this example. So the S1 only will be completing this. So I can quickly analyze the model with S2 data and without S2 data, and I can decide, because right now what we are doing, we are trying to running this integration on a prototype, engine prototype. Actually, this S1, S2 data is coming from an engine prototype. Now, once we decide that sensor 2 is not required at all, I can make a very well decision in the beginning itself on the prototype. Otherwise, you will be unnecessarily adding a cost to each engine by placing 2 sensors everywhere. So this can also help in that kind of decision making. So if I just go and see now you'll analyze this, what is the S1 only statistics. So once you see that, let's go to the confusion matrix. This is the data that you are getting based on the S1 only. So I am still be able to find 16% is only the false positive and negative. 84% still I am able to do the correct prediction in terms of the true positive and true negative. So not much variation comes out whether I have included S2 or not. So these matrix is good enough to make me take a decision that I don't want an S2 to run this. Fine. So once the model is done, that is the interesting part. Once your model is being done over here, now I will come to the deployment part and I will go to the analytics manager. And there I will be now connecting the real-time data from the edge thing that is coming over here. And I will be now creating a pipeline actually, so that the real-time data is coming over here, it is being analyzed, and the response is being communicated as an event outcome. So anyone who subscribed to this will be able to get a notification or whatever services you would like to run on it. Right. So let me just explain you these steps. So here, out of the various models, you have to create a service provider. Now, analysis providers are basically kind of an services that you can configure based on the connectivity. So you can use a modeling which is coming from the ThingWorx right now, or you will be also be allowed to run some mathematical analysis in the ThingWorx platform. So it's not necessarily that you will be using analytics as such. What you can do, you can also make use of some Excel formula, or maybe there's an option of MathCAD kind of a connector possible over here. So in this analytics provider, what I can do, I will just go to the new. So this is the analytics provider. Now, this may not be necessarily the analytics model that you build right now. It could be anything. So now here you can see that the analytics manager is giving you a flexibility to decide the analytics provider. And this is something that is important over here. So let me just see that the vibration S1 provider. So what I'm doing, I'm just creating another version which is based on the S1 only. So based on S1 sensor model. Right. Now here you have an option of connector. If you can look at here, you have an option of connector. So you can select the various connectors over here. So if you can just drop down over here, you have connectors for the analytics server, that is the ThingWorx analytics services. You have some Docker deployer connector, so you can run something into Docker and then you can get the analytics done on in that Docker image and you can bring it over here. You can use some Excel connector here to just do some analysis into the Excel file. It's for the Java. You can have MathCAD here, and there's another thing, predictor connector. So there are various connectors available. So now you can see the analytics services is one part over here in the platform, and the modeling is the analytics building is another part. So right now we are trying to provide the analysis service. So what I will be doing, so currently for this example, we will be using analytics service from the ThingWorx only. So you will be selecting this connector, analysis service, and analysis service connector. Means I will be using the same model which I have built right now. And you just save this. So what I have done. What goes wrong over here? Okay, another provider is using same connector. Let me just see that. So let me just see that why it is limiting that. Yeah, so let me go with the same example. So what I have done right now, I have created this vibration provider over here, which is based on the same what I was just explaining these steps. So I have used this service connector in this case. And then once, so here I'm just connecting I'm just defining the vibration provider actually. That's all. I have not done which model it's supposed to use, just in a vibration service provider. And now I will go to the models basically. So you have to go to the analytics builder again. And in the models for before deployment actually. So if you can see here before deployment, I have to publish this model. So currently this model is not published. So if you can see here, I have to just click the publish option here. So now this is being available in the analytics builder. So I have to publish this selected model. So I will just publish it. So are you sure you want to publish this model? I will click yes. So this is now appearing. So this model is now being published in this case. And I can just see this. Yes. So view. Yeah. So this is being published now, and I will go back to the analytics models now. Now I'm talking about the analytics manager, and I can see that the model is now being published under the same provider, that is the S1 only. So yeah, this was enabled. That is what the reason coming. So I will just disable the previous model. Yeah. So I have two models now. One is based on the S1, S2 both. Another I have just published, which is based on the S1 only, and I can enable this model. So I have enabled this model, and this provider of this model is now the vibration provider, which I have created. So I've created an analysis provider, and I have now published the model and connected this model with this provider. It means that now this model, all analytics query that are coming, that will be handled by this model, and it will be responding to the same. Is this concept of provider and the model publishing being clear now, or is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Fine. So and if it is clear, I think that's easy now. So I have enabled, you have to enable which model you would like to, which provider you would like to use. So in this case, I'm using this model and this provider. And so this enable disable options you can see over here that you can configure. Now there are certain things, the properties that you will be modifying, which I will not be discussing, but what you can see, some mapping is required that you can follow the steps. Because of the time constraint, I'm not going into that step. What I'm just trying to explain to you, the analysis events. Now this is an interesting part over here. You have to connect now. So edge thing is something which will be now bringing out the data. And now you have to edit this, because earlier I was just using this. In this case, how the analysis event is being handled actually, and how it is being created. So we have created a analysis event over here, which is now being monitored. So all the data that is coming onto the edge thing is now being monitored for the data change. So any event that is being created by the data change, and which property, I'm just now using only one frequency band of the sensor 1, right? Because we realize that this is the one indicator which will be good enough to indicate the low grease level. And now I will enable this. So the moment I enable this, now the moment the data change happens from the edge thing, this analytics model will be triggered, because I've already now connected the vibration provider over here. So event is, so this is the analysis event. I have configured now that the source of the event is edge thing. The type of event is the data change. So whenever there is a data change happens on the edge thing, which property we want to monitor is the S1FB1. And the provider of this analytics service is the vibration provider. And this is the model name that is being used in this case. Now, the moment I enable it, all the data that is coming from the device start analyzed actually. And then the analysis jobs is something where you can see this. So if you can see here, there are 12 already data is being analyzed over here. So you can see here, I can see, so these are something happened on the real-time data that is being coming. So I can just view the outcome over here. So you can go to the results actually. So what was the results that you can see? The low grease is true. So this is something is the result of this analysis. Now, how you would like to use this result? Again, you will be creating another events or services, which will either send a command to the edge device again to stop the engine, or maybe indicating something onto the engine itself. Or what you can do, you can use this value that is coming into the edge thing dot result is the low grease level actually. So there's a variable which is giving the low grease indication. This value then can be further used to trigger any event actually, whatever you want to trigger. Whether you want to send a message, whether you want to, so this will be now used as a simple events and subscription in the ThingWorx platform. This will only generate the output over here out of the analysis event. So this is something kind of one more additional event that is happening along with the same edge thing. But this input is coming from the analytics. This is not being generated by the just in a signal input output, or maybe some, for example, you can trigger an event when something goes off or something goes on. Same way, this Boolean value, which is coming as an indicator of the low grease level, is coming from the deployment of the analytics model. And this will be now used to trigger the real-time services. So that is the complete flow over here. So I have to just, for example, if I want to check whether, I'm not sure whether real-time data is still coming from the RPi, but what I can do, I will just show you that analysis events. I will just enable this. So I'm just in it because every second data is coming. So it will be unnecessarily filling the database. but I have now enabled it actually. And now let's see the analysis jobs, how they are going on. So maybe the real-time data is not coming right now. Yeah, 13. So you can see that the completed event is 13. So I will go and stop the analysis event now. Disabled. Now let's see that the one real-time data has received now in this case. If you go to the analysis jobs, so 14, in fact, last 2 seconds, the 2 data has been received. So I will just uncheck this filter completed jobs. So these are the 2 data that is being arrived right now, 13:15 and 13:15:30, 13:15:46. So now you can see that this is the real data now received from the ARPA-E, which is simulating an engine, sending the sensor data come into the ThingWorx Foundation. That data is now being used to trigger an analysis event. And I have already trained a model which will be analyzing this incoming data to predict the real scenario. So I can go and see that based on the current data that is being received, the result is the low grease is true. Fine. And then as I was explaining, you can use this further to trigger any other information or other event or another subscription, which will be then communicated to the customer or the person who is responsible for taking care of this. So that is the scenario. I was just giving you a complete overall idea that how once the model is being trained, this is the way it is being deployed for the analytics services. So this way, what steps I have shown to you is a complete end-to-end deployment, starting from a device that is being configured to send the data into the platform. Then there I will be defining a complete analytics. I will use analytics builder to build my model, do all the exploratory analysis, and then build a model. And after the model is built, I will be using an analytics provider, which will be now configured to generate the events based on the real-time data. Once that the real-time data is coming, you would like to use the prediction actually. So for example, in all your machines that you will be using, once I train the model, the real-time sensor data, once it arrives, it will either trigger an event and give you an indication that yeah, machine is now running in good condition or the bad condition. So that way it will be doing. I have not covered, there's a partially on the logging part. This data is being logged also. I think that you can explore on your own after you follow this complete learning path. So that is all for today's lab session.